Okay, hi. So I'm Pearl Howie, and I'm here chatting with Hayley Felton, talking about basic anxiety. You're all right. You can speak, Hayley.
Thanks, Pearl. Thank you.
This is a bit it's like when we get together for a drink. We go, no, I'll talk. You talk.
Yeah, exactly. Who's going to do the most talking? It's usually Pearl, by the way.
We're quite chatty people, basically. I'm quite chatty.
Well, I'm glad you've called this a chat because it's going to be like a chat, isn't it? So,
Definitely.
yeah.
It's quite interesting that just even talking about face anxiety, we've had quite a few comments, questions. I've got a whole page of comments and questions from people on Facebook, from the guys who've joined us here. So I don't know, do you want to work down the list, or do you want to just have a little chat about, what we're going to do today, Hales?
I think we will, I think a good idea, first of all, is to sort of go over the symptoms of anxiety so people can recognise it if they do have it. Or I think we can use the words stress, fear and anxiety interchangeably because they're very linked. And as we've had a chat earlier, a lot of people resonate with different words as well.
Yeah.
So,
This is what we were talking about as well, and I've used this with fear and anxiety, but also with other emotions like anger, in that if we're trying to resolve things and heal things, it can be so useful to actually really examine the language. So, I'm going to say the words, okay, and I don't like saying these words because I know that they make people stress, which the words are panic attack. And often people talk about that, or words like freaking out, or, there's a lot of different expressions. And I find this with anger, it's really useful to kind of get a better vocabulary. Because then we can also, I think also sometimes we go through lots of different states, and if we call them all the same thing, we don't realise that we're being triggered by different things. And also,
definitely.
And sometimes when the feelings are entirely appropriate, and other times when it's really unnecessary.
I mean, really, the basis of anxiety is really to keep us safe at the end of the day. It's our body's response to try and keep us safe, but often it's a threat that isn't really there. But I think the problem we've got at the moment is we have an unseen threat at the moment with coronavirus, and that's why we've got so many people that are, their anxiety is being activated within them, and a lot of people that wouldn't necessarily experience anxiety are now. So I think that's really why we wanted to do this, isn't it, Pearl? Because if we can help even just one person, that's going to be a good job.
I think, do you know what, you just said something so relevant there, and I think this is you said, when you said it's something that's unseen and unknown, and there's still so much we don't know, and we are constantly being bombarded with different people telling us different things. That in itself, even I think we're just trying to get a handle on it, trying to understand, what am I supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to be wearing a mask or not? Am I supposed to be,
is it the right type of mask? All of that, isn't it? It's like there's so much confusion out there.
I was just going to say,
it's absolutely crazy. But I think, I think though, I'm just going to talk about what I call the symptoms of anxiety, because I think that's important so people understand if they are experiencing anxiety, so they know they are. So it can be, there's many different, there's a huge continuum of anxiety. So essentially you can have very mild symptoms up to very extreme symptoms. So a mild symptom might be you're feeling a little bit more on edge than usual. For example, you might be feeling slightly jittery, a little bit nervous type feeling. And obviously that intensity of that fear, that feeling can increase up the scale. And at the other end, you've got the panic attack. And that's like sort of the worst, possible manifestation of anxiety that can come out, and you literally can feel like you're going to die. You might not be able to feel like you can breathe. You might feel tightness in your chest. Ironically, I'm mentioning these symptoms, and these are actually the symptoms that they talk about the coronavirus. and anxiety can actually bring on these symptoms of the tightness in the chest. So sometimes the anxiety itself can actually feel like a condition, a physical condition. Can also be sweating palms, it can be mind racing, it can be temperature changes in your body, not necessarily like you're having a really high temperature, but you might feel you've got the sweating palms, you might feel a little bit hotter than normal. There's loads of different symptoms. Not being able to catch your breath, forgetting, being forgetful. So many different symptoms. Excess worry. They're just, they're the main ones, I think. So if anyone out there is experiencing those sort of symptoms, it definitely can be anxiety, especially if it starts, we can distinguish it between being anxiety and something that's a physical condition, because it generally has started with thoughts in the mind that are, worrying, essentially.
Okay, yeah. And just covering over those things, a couple of things that we talked about before this with you, Hayley, was that these can also be, this is the difficulty, because also sometimes when we're so worried about something, we create a placebo effect. The suggestion means that we start to have certain symptoms. And the other thing that we were talking about is, because I've had problems with respiratory, with allergies and things like that, is that sometimes even if I worry I'm going to have a reaction to something, I stop breathing properly, I stop breathing deeply. And so that actually then means that my chest gets sore, because I'm holding tightly to the muscles, and I'm not relaxed, and I'm not breathing. So we've got a very strange situation at the moment, because we've got this whole unknown business, and then we've also got this whole thing of that stress can actually create the symptoms of something that we're afraid of.
Yeah.
So a very vicious circle. So we've got to try and figure out how to help people out this.
Definitely.
Talk about the problem. Let's figure out the solution.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the key things is to know that you're not alone in this, because it can feel very lonely. I mean, we're all isolating, and a lot of people aren't with their family. Well, they're not with their families. Some people are single people, or, they might even be stuck in another country and can't get home. So people are feeling isolated. So I think it's important to know that, collectively as a globe, we are all in this together, really. So that's number one, to know that you aren't alone if you're worrying. There are hundreds of thousands of people that are going to be anxious. And to know that, it's okay to talk about it as well, because I think that's key, to be able to talk to someone. And ideally someone that you know that you can pick up the phone to, and you're not going to be judged. Or even, if you're in some Facebook groups, putting that out there that you're not feeling great. And I'm sure that, I think this virus, people are becoming more passionate, because it's, we're all looking out for each other. So if you actually do put on a social media that you're feeling really bad about it, I'm sure you'll have people that will reach out to you. So I think it's not being afraid to air your worries and how you're feeling about things. And also, if you don't feel like there is anyone at all that you can speak to, there is the Samaritans, and they're impartial, and it's free, and their number is 116123, and you can also email them or write to them as well. So it's important. There will always be someone to talk to in that instance, especially anyone in the UK. So I think that's really my first point of call, really.
Yeah. And I was, one of the things that I thought was really important to talk about was the first and last point of call is the breathing.
Yes.
And my thing is always, I've done so many practices and so many types of thinking and meditation thing. And I always say, when it gets really hard, the best one to go back to is one taught by Thich Nhat Hanh, which is just really breathing in, I am breathing in, and breathing out, I am breathing out. And just pay attention to breathing in.
Should we do that then, Pearl? Should we take people through that?
Yeah. It's so simple. It's like you feel like you shouldn't be teaching it. But actually, it's quite nice because I was just rereading some stuff by him yesterday, this morning. He's got some very beautiful books, and I'm reading one at the moment. It's called The Art of Living. And it's so, I think that's the wonderful thing about his, you know, a lot of meditation and Buddhist practices. It's about being so completely connected, but then also being able to let go and letting go of attachment. But what he does is this practice, but then you can flower it up any which way you want. So I'll just kind of show you that. So
yeah,
basically, and again, you can be relaxed or you can just be freaking out. That's okay. You can do this at any time. I do this a lot on a plane. And literally it's like breathing in, I am breathing in. So you just breathing in, I am breathing in, and then breathe out, breathing out and breathing out. And it takes you back to the very basics of I'm breathing, you know, I can breathe. But also it helps because it tends to slow the breath down and makes you breathe more fully. And the more you do this, the easier your breathing comes, the better your lungs are working. It's a great one to do at night, you know, and especially if your mind is racing, just breathing in, I'm breathing in. Now what he does is, I love this, and he has all different ways of doing it, and he goes, breathing in, I'm breathing in joy. And then it could be breathing out, I'm letting go of stress. You know, and you could have had anything to it, you know, breathing in, I'm breathing in happiness or relaxation.
Yeah, calm would be a good one, wouldn't it?
Yeah, really good one. But also he is a poet, so he gets very poetic. So it can be, you know, if he's in the garden, it could be breathing in, I am breathing on all the beautiful spring air. And then breathing out, I'm letting go of the beautiful spring air. You know, it doesn't have to be a negative. It's like, you know, that in the flow of life, you know, good things come. And, you know, it could be, I'm breathing into smoky fumes from my I always do that.
Yeah.
When we say, okay, we recognize that this is not as exactly as we would want it, but I'm still breathing. I'm still breathing.
And I think the point is as well, when we marry up the words with the breath, it's placing our attention on something other than what we're actually worrying about, or even so it's displacing that focus, isn't it? Absolutely. So I think really that's really why it works, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think the thing is, again, one of the challenges of the situation that we're in is if we're being mindful and focusing on the present moment, that's fantastic. But at the same time, our reaction, you know, our planning is kind of like much longer term, you know, because this is something that we may, you know, we could be affected by something but not feel it for another 2 weeks. It's very difficult. Again, this is a huge challenge because we can be positive and say, great, I feel great today. But unfortunately, that kind of I feel great today can actually be a false sense of security. Because we're actually saying, well, actually, this disease that we're experiencing could be affecting us, and it could be something that we are spreading without being aware of it. So we kind of have to also keep reminding ourselves of possibilities of, well, I don't know if I'm well, so I have to act as if it's possible that I'm not well. I have to, you know, and so we are actually being very, very challenged and having to deal with lots of different.
Our actions are contradicting what even if we're feeling well, our actions are contradicting that, aren't they? Because we don't know.
Yeah, and it's what's, I think in a way it's really interesting that, you know, what we're being asked to do is very theoretical. You know what I mean? So our actions are, but you know, one of the things we were saying before is about talking about response to fear in a sense of, and it's quite interesting because I was talking to a doctor online, and her thing that she was sharing was, they're not the first line of defense, they're the last line of defense. Because you are the first line of defense. So in a way, it's like if we say a fireman is a first responder, we're actually the first responder, because we're responsible for not starting a fire.
Yeah.
So the action,
That's a lot of responsibility, isn't it?
it is. And don't we all wish we had a smoke alarm, you know, that we could put an alarm in the house and we'd know if something was going, something that we can't see was going to hurt us. We can't. But we have to. So, for example, if we're doing anything with a fire, we're talking about the way that we set the kitchen up, having a smoke alarm, having a fire extinguisher. Do you know what I mean? So these are all things that we're planning and trying to get
cautions.
Yeah, but we're kind of we're dealing with what might happen. You know, and that's one of the things that it's where we're operating in a working on what might happen, but at the same time trying to, when it gets too much, we have to kind of come back to, I'm okay,
everything's fine. Yeah,
it's, you know, we have to do as much as we can do.
And I think one of the key things for if anyone is experiencing anxiety is to know that it will pass. It's not going to be, you know, if someone is experiencing quite an extreme period of anxiety, it's to remind themselves that, you know, that intensity, that level is going to start to drop. It was not going to keep continuing. It will level out. And I think also to know that this whole situation it will pass at some point, you know. This is a temporary situation that we're in at the moment, whether it is repeated or not, hopefully not. But yeah, I think it's to know that this whole change of lifestyle isn't, you know, for forever. And it's, you know, trying to adapt really the best we can to that and being gentle on ourselves, because I think a lot of us are quite harsh on ourselves. And I think most of us are doing brilliantly how we've adapted, and a lot of people are used to going into an office every day and they're now working from home. So there's lots of technical challenges and things, and maybe having to look after children and animals and being with a partner 24 hours a day, you know. So I think most of us probably haven't given ourselves such a pat on the back that we could have done, we should do, because we're actually coping really well. So yeah, but it is a very it's an unclear outcome, essentially, but we just need to know that we are doing everything we can to protect ourselves, and it won't go on forever. And also, should we talk about the different types of things that, physical medication and things like that people can take?
A really good idea, but I was going to say just before we do that, because it was something you just said then, and I thought let's expand on this, because Janet talked about before, and let's get into it. Feeling guilty when we're actually feeling all right, And I was saying, I was sitting there yesterday, and I'd actually done quite a lot of stuff, and I was sitting there, and I just suddenly thought, oh, this is a lovely day. I'm really enjoying it. And I felt quite guilty. And it's something that Janet was saying. And I think that's, that's really interesting, because afterwards I spoke to my mum and she said, oh, you just got to enjoy these moments when they come. And I was like, she's absolutely right. Because then later I was sort of stressing out again. It's like, no.
And I think the guilt can also transform into anxiety as well, because you start worrying that you're feeling guilty, and all these different emotions can spiral. And I've personally found that I've been feeling a lot of pressure on myself to get a lot of things done. Because I've been thinking, right, I need to do this. I've been getting my new website done, all these different things. And I think we need to take a step back and actually, yes, we've got more time to do things, but see this situation, well, as much as we can, as a gift, a time to reflect and rest as well, because it's very unlikely that we're going to be in a situation for such a prolonged period where we do actually get to be at home more and reflect about things. And I think we need to be kinder to ourselves, and sometimes it's the hardest thing to be kinder to ourselves. But I think I just wanted to say that it's a little reminder that it's okay to not be productive, I think, because that's a big one for many people. And like Janet was saying, she's a healer as well. We trained together actually, and she said she's been feeling guilty about not sending enough healing to different people distantly. And but like I was saying earlier, I think what we need to do is we really need to look after ourselves first. So it really is about checking in with our own energy levels, checking in with how we're feeling emotionally. And if we feel that we have got energy and the time to do that, send out that healing, or call that person that you've been meaning to call to check in on them, then do so. But I think it is really about making yourself, you have to prioritize yourself and how you're feeling, and then you can be of more use to others. Because I also think as well, there's an extra anxiety. There's another type of anxiety. The social media anxiety is coming up a lot, because people are engaging more on social media, which is great because we're connecting with people from around the globe, everywhere. So it's amazing for that, so we don't feel as isolated. However, often we're checking our phones more. We've got alerts coming up all the time. There's like a sense of pressure that we have to then be in touch with people electronically as well. Yeah, every 2 seconds, pal. So I think that's another anxiety that is coming out through this, that people are feeling bombarded by their phones, essentially. And I think, again, it can help, like a suggestion to sort of lower that anxiety around that, is to actually say to yourself, okay, between this time and this time, I actively look at my phone and check for messages and things, and the rest of the time I'm going to be doing X, Y, Z. So yeah, trying to limit time if that is something that's causing anxiety, because I think we are more teched up than normal at the moment.
I think it's very interesting you saying that, and it's funny because I was just thinking that myself, in terms of, I think sometimes it can feel very we can feel guilty about what we're not doing and what we're not giving. And I was saying I'm quite enjoying giving out sort of healing, light, and that kind of thing. But then sometimes I go to do it and I'm like, no, it's not really working with me. And I'm like, well, maybe that's because you just need to just have a bit of a rest, or you need something else. But I have a weird experience with social media, because I'm much more on social media than I was. But I found I've unfollowed so many people. I'm really cultivating that sort of, so especially on Instagram, it's like no these. And so I actually found recently, when I go on, I get quite a relaxing experience, because I've kept all the sort of people who put nice pretty pictures, but not too pretty, not the people who sit there in their bikinis. And I'm like, no, that's just a bit too posed for me. It's just a bit too posed for me. And I'm like, do you know what?
Just after you've had a glass of wine and a big bar of chocolate.
Oh, no, I don't do that. But what I was going to say is, sometimes I feel, that's not guilty, but there's a thing of, I know that I'm doing my bit, but then I see like the doctors and the nurses and everything they're doing, and I'm sort of overwhelmed by how amazing they are. But what I did yesterday, which was quite funny, I saw something had been posted by this doctor and her husband. They're both going out in LA, and they've got a 1-year-old baby, and it was sort of, stay home, and she was like, please repost this. So I followed her and I reposted it, and the next thing I knew, she was saying, thank you so much, you're amazing for reposting this and that. All I did was share her post on social media, and I've got this doctor who's doing the most. So I'm like, hey, I feel like I did something good here. I like, so mine sitting there farting about is, and like some other posts I've been doing, I think, do you know what? There's good things I can do here as well. Just sitting on my bottom, I can do some very useful.
Spread some positivity out there as well, and gratitude for these people that are on the front line, essentially, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. So I think the thing is, sometimes we don't appreciate all the little things that, even little things like just ringing somebody up, or even just taking somebody's call, or putting something stupid out there. So I think sometimes when we do stuff, it seems like a very small thing to us, but we don't know how much it's gonna cheer somebody up, or make somebody happy, or help them. Or even if they just, and I'll tell you this is one for you, Janet. A lot of the stuff I'm doing it's called holding a space for. So when I post my classes and when I put stuff out there, even if nobody shows up, they had the choice, you know? So they had an option. So I gave them an option of something to do, even if they didn't do it. Because very often I'll speak to people in about a month and they'll go, oh yeah, I saw that. And yeah, you know, really, I was quite happy that I had the option to do something, you know.
I think people knowing that there's support there can lessen anxiety in general, as whether they take it up or not. I think knowing that there's that support, I think that's very key, Pearl, definitely. Well, and also going back to social media, I think people realising that they can, because not everyone gets it, but you can unfollow people, and you can, yeah. So you don't have to defriend everyone to not see posts, because I know some, you know, if you're feeling quite fragile, there's certain things you don't want to be seeing, and it's going to affect your mental health. So creating your social media feed, it might be a better way of dealing with things rather than limiting your time on there.
And I think the thing is, I experienced this weekend particularly. I have certain friends and they do like to send me a lot of stuff, and I don't choose to watch most things that most people say knows this.
I got really annoyed. I was like, why is Pearl not reading what I've sent her? I was like, it's for your own bloody good, Pearl, Howie.
Who's it by?
I was like, just read it, watch it, whatever it was.
No, I get, you know what, I was getting so many of them that I just not gonna. And I think that's the thing for me. One of the things I've done is I've sort of looked at people on Instagram and I say, you know, I really like you as a human being. I'm going to keep you on Facebook. You can still be my friend on Facebook, but I'm not going to follow them on Instagram. You know, and I think that's for me. It's been kind of hard because I sort of think I feel disloyal when I kind of like, no, I don't want, you know. But at the same time, I'm like, do you know what? That's all right. I'm going to have you on Facebook, or you have my phone number and you can call me or you can text me. But I'm not going to just absorb. It's like, I mean, as you know, Hayley and I are both trying or both are sort of vegans, and that means you have to stop just eating everything that everyone gives you. Yeah, and it's really nice and it's meant really well, and somebody offers you something, but it doesn't mean to say you have to eat it.
Yeah, it's true. It's more sort of creating what you allow into your experience, isn't it? Especially through social media.
Definitely. I think as well, I think most of us are looking at which news outlets we are letting in. So I know when I'm going through and I'm, you know, looking at things, I definitely look at, you know, which newspapers am I going to article on, and I tend to just go for the headlines and and most of the time I'm like, this isn't, you know, it's hard. I mean, it's very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I was sent a WhatsApp by my mum actually. It was a WhatsApp video, and it was actually a lady that protested. She said that she had come out. She worked for the health some organisation. She didn't say what, but she'd just come out of a meeting, and she was basically saying that they were going to stop ambulances coming to people it was going to be this week, and it was a really shocking message. And other people were sending it to me as well. Anyway, Dave and I, we looked on the internet and we found, and it was completely fake news. There is a lot of fake news out there that can shock people and worry people and instigate anxiety. And there's also a lot of conspiracy theories as well around this and why this is happening, like CIA type stuff, loads of different. We won't go. This isn't really the place to go
because we'll get banned, Hayley.
Yeah, this isn't the place to go into this. However, I just wanted to mention it because just to sort of create what, you know, not necessarily believe in everything you read as well, and not read it. So you know, just because something's been written doesn't mean it's reflecting the truth. So try as best you can. My advice is like, take what resonates with you, you know, in terms of news, but and question it. Don't just take it as gospel. You know, how, you know, do a bit of research into where the source, you know, is the source a professional doctor? Are they you know, which hospital are they in? You know, really looking into where the information has come from rather than accepting it as truth, because that, unfortunately, that WhatsApp, it caused spread so much fear through a lot of people quite quickly. And it's a shame it's a shame that type of thing is going around, really.
I think there is a level of huge lack of responsibility, and unfortunately, we all have to adapt to a new world right now. And unfortunately, most of our media is based on trying to create the most powerful story. And a lot of that means, even if the facts are correct, it's how a story is told. And we all know this, when we go and tell somebody something that happened to us, we can either say, oh, well, this thing happened, but it's okay because of that. Or we go, oh, the most terrible thing happened. And so I started watching something last night, and it was a BBC one, and it was something about the restaurants in Italy. And it started with the detail and, all about this thing. And I was like, oh no, this is too, you're being so emotive, and the language that, like, you're just trying to get me on a hook so that, and you can just say whatever you want, and I'll be with you. And it's like when you're making a film, if the credits are really good and it's kind of, they're building you up, and then they're going to just kind of like hit you with whatever. And I'm like, just tell me the facts. Just tell me the truth. And I'll make up my own mind about what story I think, what I make of this story. And I unfortunately, that people have been trained in a certain way, journalists have been trained in a certain way to maximize a story, going for like the worst case scenario or this, and they don't see how damaging it can be to somebody who's sitting at home already scared, already watching something.
And all the statistics, Pearl, I think we don't know if they're 100% accurate, do we? The numbers of, death count and the percentages, and it's all about, and Pearl is a mathematician, right? She studied maths, and you can represent numbers in many different ways, can't you? You can skew them, and it depends on the context. So it's very, it can be misleading, I think.
I think what the difficulty we're experiencing at the moment, the best thing I've heard, and this is so beautiful, and I think this is the most amazing thing, and it doesn't matter if the numbers are exactly right in this, when I was watching something with Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. and his family, and they say, we roughly estimate that the mortality rate of this disease is about 2%, roughly, very roughly. So the 98% who would survive this disease, who are staying home, who are acting a certain way, who are behaving a certain way, are protecting the 2%. But that is community. That is community, and that is family, and that is love. From that perspective of people sort of saying, oh, I'm having my freedom away, taken away, and is that actually what we're doing is this incredible, beautiful human thing. Because if animals, if this was nature, the chips would fall where they would. But we are not animals. We are a community, and we have such respect for each other, and for human. And I'm glad in a way that we're trying to address things in a certain way of, trying to protect as many people as we can.
Definitely.
There's something really,
and we're building connections, aren't we? Definitely more connections in a different way than we were before, I think. And it's going long-term effects. I think there are going to be positive outcomes of this. Businesses will look at things in different ways, more flexible working. We're going to have, I think people are going to be looking out for each other more, and we're going to be looking for world solutions for things from a heart level. Because it's like retraining people to think of the greater good for all rather than just the I, isn't it?
I think the thing is what they say, with Shaman say, is they say, if you listen to people, they'll tell you who they are. And I think this moment, being tested and this challenges is we're getting to know who we are, and we're seeing who certain businesses are. We're seeing how certain, you know, when somebody says something or does something, you go, okay, I've got your number now. I've got your, that's like me, I'm following people on Instagram, I'm like, oh no, no. And I'm very clear about, okay, I see you, you know, and I see you and what you're doing right now. And I think we remember these things. But at the same time, you know, we remember the neighbour. One thing from the shop, we remember the person in the, you know, and all our families, the way we kind of constantly message each other saying, you know, I love you, I love you. You know, that is something that we might have overlooked if things were going well. So
no, that definitely is a huge positive, definitely, amongst this chaos. So Pearl, what sort of things do you find that help you with anxiety personally?
Well, actually, I was just looking at this list, and we said we were going to talk about this, so I think we'll look about that. We said for a lot of people, it's they worry that they have it, that they've got this, got corona. And it's funny because I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were saying this a couple of weeks, probably about a month ago, a bit more than that. And then I actually woke up and I actually had symptoms. I had the sort of coughing. And it's such a weird disease because there's so many symptoms, and we all, you know, people can have it and have this or have that. And then you have another weird symptom and you go and you check it out. And it's like, oh, well, some people have that first. But it's very tricky. And I think the most important thing for me is that I do my breathing exercises, and I do and I take it seriously, but I take my paracetamol, I get my rest, I keep drinking my tea, I take, you know, cough medicine if I need to, that kind of thing. Excuse me. So in a sense, you know, when we're talking about anxiety, it's like, well, what am I going to do if I think I have this? It's like, well, I'm going to rest, I'm going to take fluids, I'm going to take paracetamol, and I'm going to isolate myself. So most of those things we could do, we could overreact, and that's not a bad thing. As long as I keep practicing my breathing, as long as I just keep doing that, then it's not going to have too much of an adverse effect on me to just say, right, let me just wait. For whatever reason I feel that this might be happening, I'm going to take it seriously.
Essentially, it's having your plan of action, isn't it?
Definitely. And I think that is very, very important. One of the things that I have said several times is to say to people, be aware of what the NHS is advising, because the advice has changed quite a lot. And when I had symptoms and I put it on Facebook, people going, oh no, you don't need to do this, or you do need to do that. And I was like, well, no, I've just gone online and I've gone through the symptom checker and it's told me exactly what to do. And actually I overreacted a bit more, because with our system, it says, well, you can still go out for a walk. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay in, because I don't believe that people will stay away from me. And I was absolutely right, because then when I finally did go out, after I'd finished my 7 days isolation, people were still coming too close to me. And I was like, well, I wouldn't have forgiven myself if I had chanced it. And the worst thing for me when I got the symptoms was worrying I'd passed it on to my family. Then for me, it was like 7 days, you know, and I was getting better, but then I was on a 2 week kind of climb, you know. I was like going like that, because I'm like, well, I want to if I get to 2 weeks,
make it to the 2 weeks, then
I haven't. We were being very careful, but at the same point, we're kind of like, oh, we should have been more. We couldn't have been much more careful, but we could have been a little bit more careful. But I think the thing is, just what one of the teachers said to the kids at school when they broke up, and they said, you know, do you think this is overreacting? And he said, we will never know if we have overreacted. We will only know if we underreact. And I think the thing is it's okay to overreact. It's okay to, you know, like I always bring it back to carrying too much water when I was hiking. It's okay to carry too much water. Because you don't run out of water when you're halfway down your hike. That's everyone, you know. So the good thing is that the reactions to, if I think I've got symptoms, are quite sensible, quite reasonable. You know, most people are going to be fine taking a bit of paracetamol. Read the books, don't go nuts. So if we overreact a little bit and we say, do you know what, I'm going to take myself out of circulation, even the little bit that I'm having, fine. You know, and the good thing is that the good thing is at the moment society is supporting us doing that. You know, you can say to your employer, I've got a cough, stay home. You know, and it's not like it was in the past where you were saying to somebody this and they were going, well, do you really think you need to be, you know. So the good thing is that we are being supported to be more cautious, more careful.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people worry the other way, you know, like it's like they're worried, you know, especially people who are key workers. They're worried if they don't go to work. Still, they're worried if they don't go to work. So for those people, it's kind of like reduce anxiety to say it's okay to take care of yourself first.
I think it's knowing that we're all doing the best we can, isn't it? That's to take away. We're all doing the best we can, whether we're staying at home, whether we're a key worker, you know, if you work in a supermarket, if you work, you know, that incredible people, you know, out there, they're on a front line as well, aren't they? Because they're coming into contact with so many people. So I think whatever you're doing, just know that you are doing your best, you know, and there isn't really anything else to be doing as such, apart from, you know, staying safe, essentially.
Definitely. And I think there's
protecting others.
Absolutely. And I think that's, it's so important to just kind of be able to say to ourselves to not try too hard and not overdo it. Because if we, you know, taking care of our bodies, taking care of just, you know, going and have a relaxing shower, going and doing a bit of that kind of stuff, you know, to try and get to a state where we can relax to a certain point, that it's easier to sleep and all those kind of things. And to stay in a kind of to stay in a state where we're not stressing ourselves out with all the other things that, you know, I don't need to clean the bathroom, I don't need to do that, you know. We don't then create other problems for ourselves by
so to take away from that is really knowing that you are doing enough, I think, and actually not going out is enough at the moment. It really is.
There's a
100%. And when can we ever have said that in the world? You know, it's just staying, you're doing enough, you know, you're doing amazing. So.
It's very much like you know, well, it is, you know, it's like when you have a trauma, you know, when you have a difficulty or something like that, all you've got to do is really get through the day. And there was a thing on Instagram, it was very popular and I really liked it. It was like, if all you did today was hold yourself together, you know, that's enough.
And I want to mention as well, like a lot of people, because this is affecting, this is a global situation, there's a lot of, from a spiritual perspective, there's a lot of thought forms out there, and we call it the collective consciousness. So essentially there's a lot of fear-based thought forms out there in a collective pool as such, or collective consciousness. So we can actually pick up on the vibration or those feelings. So it isn't, especially people who are very empathic and, you know, they're tuned into other people, often that fear that we're actually picking up on isn't actually our own fear as well. So to remind people that really isn't this, the majority of this isn't even their own fear. And it's just to know that, that isn't intrinsically them. It isn't their state of being. That's what I'm trying to get to. That, you know, our natural states of being is love, really. When, you know, obviously we don't walk around, you know, singing from the Alps in, what do you call it? With what's that song? You know what I'm trying to say.
I know exactly.
Yeah, we're not like, you know, in this joyful state all the time. But, you know, just want to mention that some of this isn't our own fear. So just to know that you're getting through the day is enough. You know, you're doing okay. So,
but I think it's kind of funny because we're trying to come around in a circle to what we were saying about feeling that we should be giving more healing or meditating or praying more, and I think that's lovely, because it's kind of like, it's really weird, because I think a lot of the online stuff we're doing, before I used to be running around, teaching and going to places, and now I'm just in one place. And I can kind of do it when it suits me. I can do the training when I can sort things out. So in a sense, what's great is when you talk about the collective consciousness, we can be helping to support and heal that collective consciousness all the time, anytime. It's kind of like, not that we have to be doing it 24/7, but it's a bit like, I can put that down, and then whenever we feel ready, we can pick it up and we can start to heal, and we can send all that love and light, and we can really just love the world, and just or just send prayers or do meditation or whatever. And it's great that we have something that's so accessible, that we can be doing something.
Meditation's very mainstream now, isn't it? But I want to touch on the fact that there are so many different types of meditation as well, and it's not like one size fits all. So I personally find that guided meditations really help me. So like, you can focus on a voice and you're guided visually into different scenarios, and and they're the ones that I create for my clients as well. I find them quite powerful. But some people prefer meditations where it's focused on simply music, vibrations, or it's more focused on the breath. There's so many different types, and also you can actually just meditate by doing the washing up. if you are really all meditation it's a focus of attention. So if you're focused on something externally that's a repetitive movement or thought, that can be a form of meditation if it takes you out of that space of the worry and reconnects you to like your core. So I think if you haven't tried meditation before, don't be put off that it sounds too woo-woo, or, oh, I'm going to have to empty my my mind of all the thoughts possible, and I have to become a vase to, I don't know what I'm talking about now, a container to receive this divine guidance. No, it can be very mundane. It can be going for you on your daily walk. You literally go and notice the nature around you, and you can, paying attention to the small things, it can be a form of meditation if you set that intention. So I think it's just important to find the type of meditation that works for you, or the type of prayer that works for you, because we can all use the power of prayer regardless of what religion or belief system we have. We can change the words so they suit us and our beliefs as well. So I think it's really discover this whole being locked up scenario is actually helping us all discover what helps us, I think, more, doesn't it? So it's sort of just a bit of self-discovery.
It's funny you saying that, because as I was getting ready for this, I found this, and I've got this actually. This is something. This is actually the Pilgrim's Guide and Journal from Canterbury, which I picked up, and it's got some it's very I love it because it's kind of comes from everywhere, so it's not just a Christian thing, it's something of it. And I love this because it was actually Albert Einstein that's quoted in here, and we were talking about science. Yeah, we were talking about hard sciences like maths, and which maths isn't a hard science because it gets very floopy. Maths gets very woo woo. People don't realise that it's the most woo woo. I'm going to do a talk about that as well, because
I'd be interested to see that, pal. Yeah.
I'll send you a link. But this is about Albert Einstein, and there's these 2 quotes here from him, and I love this. And I think this is a perfect way to address anxiety or stress or anything. And the first quote is, so a cynical reporter, cynical journalist, so we talked a little bit about journalists, found out that Albert Einstein was religious. So he asked him if he believed in miracles. And Einstein's response was, show me something that isn't a miracle.
Wow, yeah.
And that's basically the other thing he said there's only 2 ways to live your life. And one is as though nothing is a miracle, and the other way is everything is a miracle.
And that's beautiful, isn't it?
It is, and I always say that every life is a miracle. You know, every love is a miracle. And we forget that we are a miracle. You know what I mean? We get into this mundane way of thinking, and that, yeah, Tuesday I'm going to do this, Wednesday I'm going to do that. You know, so we're actually, in a way, what's happening is reminding us that our loved ones are miracles, how much we love each other, and that we've defied all the odds. You know, we talk about this disease as being the 98% and the 2%. The odds of us being created from one egg and about 5 million sperm is 5 million to 1. So the odds of you being you are 5 million to 1. Then plus some more odds as well of actually being born and all this kind of stuff. So you think, well, you've already defied the most incredible odds just to be born. You know, and then all the other odds you've defied in your life. So you are a complete miracle. Not just because I like you and you're my friend, but, you know.
Well, thank you.
You know, we all are. And when you think about that, you think, wow, this time we're going through is actually not that difficult. Because we're already here. We're already here. Is that too woo-woo?
No, I'm just letting it sit with me. Letting it sit. Because, we are miracle. You know, life is a miracle, isn't it? We are. And we're protecting that at the moment, aren't we? That's what's really what we're doing.
Yeah, I think I was saying the other day, it's like we diss humanity a lot, you know, and I diss people all the time because I'm like, why are they not following the rules? Why are they not doing this? You know, but if you look at this humanity as a whole, what we've learned to do in order to keep our, you know, and I always come back to donating blood and donate, you know, transplants, things like that, and you think that we are an organism that has learned how to do this and has a whole system of doing this so that we support the most vulnerable people who are about to die because their heart is failing. And we found a way, and it's only been 50 years since the first heart transplant.
Amazing.
But we've explored and found, you know, if we think about all the things that we've discovered and learned how to do, you kind of think, well, we're so amazing.
We'll overcome this, won't we?
Well, not just that. It's just that it's the intention. Do you know what I mean? That we kind of often see this is what we're saying. A lot of the time, that's things that are negative and things that get put on TV is all the worst of humanity. News reporters, they like to put the worst stuff on. They like to tell us the worst news. But what we're not seeing is, if you think about it, every single doctor and nurse and cleaner and ambulance driver and all these people, they're going against the sort of the natural order of things. Think about an animal. They're always an animal, unless it's defending its child, will generally run away from something. You know, even if they are defending their child, there's like a giraffe's like, yeah, sorry son, see you later, there's a lion coming, you know, and they're not.
There's a lot of courage being shown, isn't there?
Very much.
Massive amounts.
So much. It's kind of you know, but the thing is, we all the time, people, you know, firefighters are constantly risking their lives for people. The emergency services, you know, even you know, so many different people are responding, and they're going above and beyond day after day after day after day. I think this just really brings it home.
How lucky we are, especially with the NHS in the UK, you know, incredibly lucky and grateful that we have that support, you know, for us.
Absolutely. And I don't know how old the NHS is. I think it celebrated a birthday recently, didn't it? I don't know.
I'm not sure actually.
I think it's either 30 years or 70 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, so we have the big birthday about how old the NHS is. And we think, wow, you know, I just going out. Hi Janet. Oh, 70 years. Okay.
Oh, thanks, Janet. 70 years.
So 70 years old.
Amazing.
Yeah. And, you know, my favourite one is the Youth Hostel Association is 90 years old this year.
Wow.
And I love them. I'm so much a fan because they've closed it to guests, obviously, but they've opened it to support NHS workers, key workers, and also homeless people.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's really good. That's amazing.
Absolutely worth checking them out. But then also Claridge's Hotel have opened up for NHS workers as well. So
Wow.
I always think, I mean, it kind of makes me laugh because I think all these doctors and nurses, like, and they're going, oh great, I've got a room at the youth hostel and I've got a shower and a bath.
Yeah.
And then their mate's going to come in the next day and go, hey, I'm staying in Claridge's. And they're giving me dinner and breakfast.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be a bit peeved, wouldn't you, if you're in the youth hostel and your mate was in Claridge's.
To be honest, though, I have actually stayed in very posh London hotels, like really famous ones, and I've not had as good a night of sleep as I've had in the youth hostel.
Oh, really?
Well,
wow.
It's you know, there's some funny things in the old hotels, you know, where the windows and the thing and the thing and the thing, you know. So it's funny because sometimes I've stayed in the cheapest places and had a great night's sleep, and other times I've stayed somewhere really expensive and it's been rubbish. So, but yeah, I think I'd give Claridge's a go. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no. We've only got a couple of minutes left, haven't we, Pearl? So is there anything we could...
I'm just going to unmute Janet as well. So if you got anything else you wanted to ask Janet or say?
No, it's just been interesting listening to you two.
Good. I'm glad that we were interesting. It's kind of funny, and what I like about doing a chat with you is, like, even when I do a talk on my own, sometimes I'm surprised by what comes out.
Yeah.
When there's two of us, it's quite, you know, it's really nice when there's two of us that I can see some of the things from a completely different perspective, and I found that very, very useful and very, very
interesting. Same here. No, thank you for hosting, Pearl.
Oh, very welcome. Very, very welcome.
Yes, thank you very much.
I'm not sure if we're on Facebook Live. I pressed the button.
Who knows? I know this is recording, but I don't know if we're on.
I'll have a look on Facebook Live later. If we're on Facebook Live, bye everybody.
Hi everyone.
I am enjoying getting to understand all the technology, but I also go to bed a lot of nights going, I can't take any more. I'm trying to learn too much. My brain.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think we have to just be a bit kinder to ourselves. That's really the message we need to leave with people. I think just be kind to yourself. Know that you're doing enough. Know that you do have, you know, resources to help you if anxiety comes on. You know, there are helplines out there. It's not listening to everything that comes into your consciousness on the news feed. It's doing what you need to do to keep yourself safe and fit in mind, body and spirit. You know, it really is, that's it, essentially.
Well, I think, why don't we both, and Janet as well, if we have any top tips, because you were saying there was a couple of things that you do, Hayley, that help you to relax. If we just share a couple of top tips for things that help us when we're feeling stressed.
Yeah, well, like I mentioned earlier, the meditation, so the guided meditations really help me. So it's finding the right ones for you, and also exercise. So I am quite lucky because I've got a summer house at the back of our flat, so I can go on the treadmill, but otherwise I would be going out for a run, and if you can't get out, just doing, so even if it's star jumps, really getting those endorphins going. So I think guided meditation and exercise for me personally. And also I take a herb called ashwagandha, and it's I don't know the science behind it, however I know it works for me personally, and it's so it helps reduce anxiety levels in many people. So yeah, but obviously always research anything, always check with your doctor if you're taking any medication, but yeah, and ashwagandha has been known to help a lot of people that suffer with anxiety. So they're my 3 tips.
And Janet, have you got anything you want to add?
So daft one actually, but I think they're getting the message. Watching things on the telly, watch comedies, things that make you laugh. And at long last, they do seem to be putting more things on, like the Carry On films. I mean, they're years old, but there's always a one line in there that you totally forgot about, and you suddenly sort of burst out laughing.
Definitely.
You know, watch things that are happy. Don't read these conspiracy things because they're getting really stupid. And I'll think, oh, why did they put it on there? It's really, weird.
That's a really good point. Thanks, Janet.
And I must admit, I haven't done any exercise yet.
Well, you know, it's good to have it there in your back. I say put things in your back pocket. You know.
Yeah.
So for me, I was just saying that I have found I'm doing a lot of cooking because I find the whole peeling and chopping thing quite relaxing and quite sort of comforting. And also, I like to take my shower when I've got a lot of time, and just really take a long. You know, I'm really enjoying that. And just sitting outside is helpful.
Yeah, I'm out in the garden a hell of a lot, but I'm 400 yards from a beach, and I really should walk down there and walk along the beach, but I haven't even been. I think I'll do it soon. Got to get the garden sorted first.
I think the thing is, Janet, is I say, if there's a reason, if you haven't done something like that, don't judge yourself, because I live quite close to a beach, and I can't really enjoy that walk down there because so many people are trying to do the same thing.
But where I am, it's almost deserted.
Well, no, but you were very lucky.
Yeah.
It's silly, yeah.
But I was just going to say, for me, because my anxiety sort of comes at night, and what helps me is I have music.
Yeah.
And I have it all set up, like on the speaker I put it on a loop. And I listen to usually ocean waves.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, and I've got like Hawaiian lullabies and certain other songs that just really, and also it gives my brain, it gives my mind something to do, to listen to that. And also, you know, it's, as I say, I've got my little, sometimes just a little booky thing like that. Sometimes it's just quite nice to, or I've got books on my phone, you know, that are very, like the Thich Nhat Hanh, the Art of, you know, and even if I don't really, nothing really goes in, but the language is very peaceful. It's very like,
yeah.
Again. So, but I think it's finding, as Hayley said, it's finding your own patterns.
Yeah.
And I think allowing ourselves to have fun, because just because all this is going on, it's fine to have fun. I mean, Dave and I, we actually filmed a music birthday video for our friend at the week, and it was hilarious. We were gangsters in this video, right? It's absolutely hilarious. We've got Coco talking in it, as in Dave's got his voice over and lips over the cat. I mean, it's absolutely wrong in so many ways. It's absolutely hilarious. But yeah, don't feel guilty about having fun as well, because, you know, that it's a really good tonic, you know, gets the endorphins going, and whatever it is that makes you feel good, I think go for it, really. You know, within our confines of where we're allowed to go and everything, obviously. So, yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. What you said there about having a nice long shower, I thought, oh yeah, but I feel guilty for using all that water. How daft does that sound?
No, do you know what? There's a lot of training that we've had on, or you have to be always doing something useful. You know, with your heating bills or something this and something. And I think you've got to remember we are in a very unusual season.
Yeah.
And let's face it, you're not using your petrol to go anywhere. You know, there's a lot of other things that we're not doing.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I think it's important to think about giving yourself permission to do the things that make you feel happy, like, you know, washing your hair, putting your makeup on, things like that, whatever makes you feel happy. And it's hard, I think, sometimes, because we have all these rules, but a lot of the rules that we are, you know, that we create for ourselves, it's okay not to do the dishes straight away. It's okay not to, you know, you have to really think about, why did I create this rule in the first place? And is it serving me? It's like the fear.
Yeah.
Is this fear serving me in terms of making me think, right, I should do this or I shouldn't do that? Or is it now something that I'm it's not that important to me anymore, or it's something that's kind of getting in my way. We have to adapt and change how we're doing things.
Yeah, questioning our habits is a good thing, because habits are only things we've been doing because we've been doing them for ages, and sometimes we've even lost sight of why we're doing them and what the point of it is behind them. And some of these things aren't really good for our mental health, and they aren't necessary.
No.
So yeah, this is a good time to reevaluate things and do things that feel better to us and feel more gentle.
It's funny, I was walking back today, and I had to walk to go and drop some stuff off. And I'm like the biggest advocate of going for a walk. I'm the biggest advocate of fresh air. I'm the biggest advocate of getting out there and doing all kinds of exercise. And I'm like, no, stop. Because in this short term, a few weeks, few months, things like that, we might be better off just sitting on our bottoms. We have to find that balance between when I walked back, I walked on the roadway, which I don't normally do because that's where the cars are. But I can hear the cars, whereas if I come down the lane, I can't see or hear people until they're talking to me.
Yeah, not my local park. There's just I walked past it. I didn't even go to it today because I thought there's too many people in there. There's like one massive family. You hope they're all in a family because they were so near each other. And then other people, and I thought, oh my God, like dogs on leads and things. I thought, oh no, I'm just going to walk around the houses today. So,
and it's weird because you would never normally do that.
No, it's bizarre, isn't it? But we're dealing with a very odd situation. So I think we're all actually doing very well. So
definitely, and I think that's the thing. The thing I'm always saying to everybody, and I've been saying it for a few years because so many weird things have happened the last few years, and it's so far so good.
Yeah,
and if we come this far, then that's great. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for hosting, Pearl, and thank you for joining us, Janet, and thank you to anyone watching the replay as well, or live. We don't know if they're live or not.
We don't know. It's the unknown. We've learned to do
anyway.
Well, we learned to deal with change and the unknown, the two big things. That's challenge.
Yes.
Anyway, I know what I'm going to have for my tea. That's great.
Oh, good. I don't.
And I know I'm going to go and have a nice long shower.
Lovely. Yeah, I've already had one today, so I bet.
I love that. I better not have. You say, if you want one, have one.
I think actually no, I can't be bothered to have another one. No, but
that's okay because
I might have a bath instead. There you go.
Don't you sort of say, well, actually, in the big scheme of things,
Yeah, exactly.
And there was a thing that every time I went to a youth hostel, there was a sign saying, don't use the water and, take short showers. And I'm like, I haven't had one for 3 days. I'm going to take a really long one. I just like, bundle it up, But it's a funny thing, isn't it? Somebody else out there will be really judging me for doing that. But right now, I know that it really helps me. I know that it's kind of something that's just really supportive, and you know what, I'm gonna do that because I'm not gonna feel guilty for the small joys and treats that kind of getting me through this moment. So there we go.
Be kind, everyone. Be kind to yourselves.
Okay. All right. Well, bye, guys.
Thanks,
so nice. I'm going to end a meeting and end our recording because otherwise we'll be here. I know we could easily do that. So. Anyway, take care.
Well, thanks a lot, Pam.